All right. Thank you, Vidya. Um, Good evening, everyone, and a very, very warm welcome to the April edition of Tamil Heritage Trust's monthly Heritage Talk. My name is Ashwin Prabhu, and I'm a volunteer at Tamil Heritage Trust. I will be doing the introduction and also anchoring the question and answer interaction with our speaker for the day. Good evening. We're very happy to have you all join us online live today. And as always, we believe we have an exciting session lined up for you. But before we go into the session itself and the speaker introduction, as is customary, I would like to start with a very short introduction to Tamil Heritage Trust and the work we do. Some of you may be joining us for the first time today. And for all of you, we would like to introduce Tamil Heritage Trust as a non-profit, volunteer-driven organization established in 2010 in Chennai with a pan-India interest in heritage. And our objective is fairly simple and can be distilled down into four important, what shall I say, movements which we would like to support and foster. And that has to do with the appreciation of India's heritage. And then having understood and appreciated India's heritage, there is, of course, cause for celebration. But we shouldn't just stop with that. I think an important priority of Tamil Heritage Trust is also to disseminate this understanding and appreciation to as large a general public audience as possible. And to do this, we have a basket of events and activities which we curate at the Tamil Heritage Trust. First, of course, is the monthly Heritage Talk, which happens online in English on the first Saturday of every month. And over the last 14 years almost, we've curated a set of 200 plus talks, all of which are available on our YouTube channel. Also, what happens in Chennai in the month of December is an annual seminar called Peche Kacheri, which translates literally into a concert of talks. And we've been running this event from 2011. And the topics have been quite eclectic, ranging from Tamil literature and painting to place-specific history and dynasty-specific history. As part of the talks and seminars which we designed, 3 years back, we also started a new initiative called the Indology Festival. There have been 3 editions of this, the latest of which was Sagara Sangamam, which focused on India and the ocean. And we had 14 talks by experts on the subject. This typically happens in the month of June. Like I said, all of our audiovisual content is available absolutely free of cost to the interested public and can be accessed at the Tamil Heritage Trust YouTube channel online. And over the course of time, this has developed into what we believe is a very valuable repository of high quality, reliable content on India's history. As part of our outreach efforts and initiatives, we also organize hands-on workshops. And so far, we've been doing this in Chennai, but we've had audiences join us from Bangalore, Hyderabad, and neighboring cities as well. Workshops are typically of 2 or 3 varieties. We have something called House At, which is how to see a temple. We also have something which is called House Sam, which is how to see a museum, which has been designed around a visit to the Chennai Museum. And we also have the Grantha workshops. What we also do is we organize something called an annual site seminar, which is really a journey to a place of historical interest, either in Tamil Nadu or across India. And we kind of alternate between the two every year. And we have around 50 or 60 people who join us on this visit. And there's a lot of research and study which goes into understanding the place which we visit for that year before we actually travel to the place itself. A recent initiative of ours is something called Alamar Away, which is loosely an initiative for teachers in schools. One, to kind of acquaint themselves and sensitize themselves to Indian heritage, but two, also to go on and start heritage clubs in schools. And we have the second cohort of teachers which we are working with as part of this initiative. We also anchored two awards. The first is what is called Tamil Heritage Trust Professor S. Swaminathan Heritage Award, named after our co-founder, Professor Swaminathan. And this is an award which recognizes the contribution made by a heritage researcher, academic, or professional under the age of 50. The second award is perhaps India's only award for epigraphy, named after the very first Indian epigraphist, V. Venkaya. And we coordinate and conduct this award ceremony jointly with Venkaya's family. We encourage all of our viewers to write to us at admin@tamilheritage.in and subscribe to our mailing list. And like I already said, you're always welcome to visit our YouTube page and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can be intimated of the latest happenings online. Coming to today's talk, so I'm delighted to introduce Dr. Vinay Kumar Gupta, who will be our speaker for the day. And he's scheduled to speak on what promises to be a very, very engaging subject, Vrishnis, evidence of the Bhagavata tradition in early Indian art. Dr. Gupta is that rare breed, perhaps, of professionals who started off as an academic, but later actually became a practicing archaeologist and now works with the Archaeological Survey of India. Dr. Gupta, like I said, started his career as an assistant professor at the Dr. H.S. Gaur Central University in Madhya Pradesh, Sagar. I think an early interest in the topic, which also on which he will be touching today, was his PhD thesis on Braj, an art and archaeological study based on archaeological explorations in the region of Braj. Dr. Gupta, like I said, is a practicing archaeologist, and I think we have the good fortune of having someone here as a speaker who's directed several live excavations in the Rajasthan, Haryana, Gujarat area. And he's in fact been in charge of excavations at Bevan, a site which dates back to the OCP Ganeshwar culture period, Barnoli Ki Dhai, a painted greyware site. And he's also been in charge of excavations at that very famous archaeological site, Rakhi Gadi. His experience also includes excavations at other sites in Kirasara, Hiranna, Baror, and Hansi, all of which are on the Rajasthan-Haryana border region, as I said earlier. His present engagement and interest is in conducting excavations at Behej, a proto-early historic site in the region of Mathura. Now, very interestingly, Dr. Gupta also had a posting in the Antiquities and Customs section, where he played a very important role in retrieving various Indian antiquities from foreign shores and working actively in the prevention of illegal export of antiquities. So ladies and gentlemen, we have someone, like I said, who has multiple interests and specializations and can bring together the worlds of both archaeology and art history. And we're very much looking forward to his talk for the day. Dr. Gupta is also a prolific writer, and he has several publications to his name, half a dozen books, but also more than 50 research papers. Prominent among his published books are Mathura, an art and archaeological study, and write-ups on Mathura and Braj in the Oxford Bibliography on Hinduism. So ladies and gentlemen, it gives me immense pleasure to welcome Dr. Vinay Kumar Gupta, our speaker for the day. Dr. Gupta, over to you.
Thank you. Is it visible?
Yes, Dr. Gupta, we can see your screen. Yes.
Yeah. Namaste and my regards to all of you who are online listening to me. It gives me immense pleasure to share my work and my thoughts on this topic. As we all are aware that Hinduism, what we see nowadays, uh, there are three main branches of it, whether it is Shaivism, Vaishnavism, or Shaktism. So, in the area of Vaishnavism, the most important aspect is of Bhagavatism, uh, which is related to the worship of Vasudev. And Vasudev Krishna is none other than Lord Vishnu himself. So, the development of the religious aspects of bhakti, which uh, prevail nowadays, or which started to prevail from the medieval period, all these have their roots in the holy past of our country, and there are many aspects of the cult of Vasudev and his family lineage of Vrishnis, which at present makes the uh, religious atmosphere of the Bhagavatism. So today I intend to talk on the aspects of various aspects of Bhagavatism in relation to Vrishnis. So as we all know, during the Vedic period, when the human intelligentsia started to think of the supernatural power, the creator, uh, he started to uh, worship those natural powers which he could see around him. And in that way, many of the natural powers got the status of deities. And among them, Vishnu also became an important deity as one of the Dwadash Adityas, means an aspect of sun god, Surya. Later on, when ancient man delved much deeper into the intricacies of the origin of this universe and the Atma and Paramatma. At that time, the our Upanishadic and Brahman texts came into existence, and there we do find that Narayan is the ultimate God, uh, for which we are trying to whom we are trying to please. So this Narayan and Vedic Vishnu, and later on the in the epics we do start getting Lord Vasudev Krishna in the Mahabharata, and prior to that Lord Ram in the Ramayana, who became very popular uh, in the chain of the worship of Lord Vishnu. So this is a systematic development of Vaishnavism from Vedic Vishnu to Upanishadic Narayan to the epic Vasudev. Vasudev became the most important of all the aspects of Vishnu. So because of that, I think the popularity of Vasudev Krishna surpasses the popularity of any other aspect of Bhagavan Vishnu in our country or in our dharma. So Vasudev Krishna was not a single person who was being worshipped. Actually, his worship was related to the clan in which he was born, and that clan was of Vrishnis. Mahabharata mentions that Vrishnis were the part of the rulership of Mathura. Mathura was their ancestral home, and Lord Vasudev Krishna is termed as Sangamukhi in that. His various epithets or names are also connected with his lineage of Vrishni, and because of that, we find a number of names, his titles like Vashne, Vrishni, Madhav, Dasar, Satwat, Yadu, Yadav, Shauri, and many of the times he is only referred to as Vashne in the epic Mahabharata or in our the holiest Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Actually, what had happened at the end of the Mahabharata war, when after the death of Lord Krishna, Arjun brought back some of the remaining fellows of Vrishni Kul towards Indraprasth, and in between his journey, some barbarians attacked Arjun and the Vrishnis, and many of them were killed. And whatever little population was left, he settled them at Martikavat and at nearby area of Indraprasth. So this Martikavat may be somewhere around near Mathura, and Indraprasth, as we know, is the area around Delhi. About 119 times Lord Krishna has been mentioned as Vashne, and there are about 45 other references which belong to some other person of the Vrishni clan or someone else. So Vashne is very popular epithet of Lord Krishna. In the Mahabharata, we do not get much detailed information about the Vrishnis or the early life saga of Lord Krishna. But in Harivansh Puran, we do get this information, and almost similar information is repeated in the Vishnu Puran. So from the Harivansh Puran, we do get to know that there was Yadukul, and in Yadukul, the most powerful ruler who happened to be there on the earth was Kartivir Sahas Arjun, who ruled from Mahishmati, and he was killed at the hands of the Jamdagni Parshuram. And in the family of Kartivir Sahas Arjun happened one Vrish, and from this Vrish, the Vrishni Vansh derives its name. And from Vish, his son Madhu came, and from Madhu, Prosta, Yudhajit, and from Yudhajit came Vrishni and his stepbrother Andak. So sometimes this dynasty is also called Andak Vrishni, the rulers of Mathura, because of these Andak Vrishnis. But actual name of Vrishni Vansh comes from Vrish. From this Vrishni, Andak Vrishni, from this Vrishni were born Shafal, Chitrak, and Devmi Rush, and from Devmi Rush came Akrur and Shur. So Akrur was the uncle of Lord Krishna, and Sur was the father of Vasudev, the father of our Lord. So from Sur was from Vasudev came our two of the great heroes, Lord Krishna and Samkarshana-Balarama. And beside them, goddess Yogmaya, whom the epics call as Ekanamsa, and we popularly call as Subhadra. She also came. A sister of Vasudeva was Kunti, and so in a way the three Pandavas, Yudhishthir, Bhim, and Arjun, they were also of, and also Karna, because he was born from Kunti. So all these four were of half Vrishni lineage from their mother's side. And from Vasudev, were born his son Pradyumna and Sam, and from Pradyumna, his grandson Aniruddha was born. So these are the important members of the family of Vrishnis. We do find mention of Vrishnis in some texts which we consider as composed prior to the epics. So we do find reference of Vrishnis as Vashani or Vashani in Taitri Brahman, Satpat Brahman, Aryanak Upanishad, and Jaimini Upanishad Brahman. When we come to historical texts, we do find mention in Parini's Ashtadhyayi of Vasudev and Arjun when he talks about Dvand Samas. In another sutra, which is Jivikarthe Chapane, he talks about the images of Skand, Shiv, and Vasudev. So by the time of Parani, Vasudeva Krishna was quite popular, and it also informs that images of Skand, Kartikeya, Shiv, and Vasudeva Krishna were already popular in the society. Parani also cites Vrishnis and Andhakas as Kshatriya names. Following Parani, Patanjali in his Mahabharata mentions the killing of Kans by Vasudeva Krishna, and he mentions that dramas of this this narrative means killing of Kans by Lord Krishna. These are enacted in the area around Mathura. Even Kautilya in his Arthashastra mentions a war between Krishna, Vrishnis and Dwaipayan. Dwaipayan is Vyas. In the Puranas, Vayu Puran provides us the name of 5 Vrishni heroes. And from that we come to know that who are the 5 Vrishni wheels who are worshipped as in a group of 5. So it tells that these are Vasudev, Samkarshana, Vasudev, Pradyumna, Sam, and Aniruddha. While describing the Mora inscription, which I will come later on, Heinrich Luders, great paleographist, he thought that these 5 were Baldev, Akrur, Anadrishti, Saran, and Vidurat, as he found as these are found mentioned in some this Jain text, in our Jain text, Ang Dasau. Panch Vrishnis, the worship of 5 deities in a group is not limited to only Vrishnis, but we do find mention of Panch Buddhas, Panch Tirthankaras, and Panch Viras are worshipped. But we do not have examples of Panch Buddhas or Panch Tirthankaras. Panch Viras may be the same as Panch Vrishni Viras. So now we come to the aspect of their representations in Indian art and their iconography. So the earliest depiction of Vrishnis which I found is from a rock shelter, Tikla, which is situated in Shivpuri district of Madhya Pradesh. It comes on the path joining Mathura to Tuman, and Tuman is an ancient city which further moves to Ujjaini, Avantika. So there in a rock shelter, these 3 figures have been carved. The figure on the left side, he is holding a hull, means plow, in his right hand is some object which I now can identify that it is a mudgar, which mudgar is a combination of various weights put upon a log of wood. So Balaram holds it. Coincidentally, the central figure, which is of Vasudeva Krishna, he is also holding the same object, mudgar, in his hand, in his right hand, and in his left hand is his discus, his chak. One important aspect is when the original painting was made, Balram was the tallest. Then came Vasudeva Krishna, and then her younger sister Ekanamsa, who is slightly of lesser height than these two. Subsequently, when Vasudeva Krishna became the most important deity of Vaishnavism, as an afterthought, someone extended his legs. So there is clear-cut evidence that he is trying to show him the tallest, the painter. Another important aspect is the halo over the head of Vasudeva Krishna. So in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan describes that Divi Surya Sahasrasya Bhavedu Padutthita, means when Vasudeva Krishna gives his darshan, hundreds of halos are thousands of halos are means thousands of suns are there who are radiating from the face of Vasudeva, or the supreme power, Vishnu. So here this sun disk is there, solar disk is there. So it may be one of the possibly the earliest representation of this aspect in our art. And then Ekanansha is holding what we can identify as a symbol of bestowing sovereignty, means our Devi is worshipped as someone who provides the right to rule, or to who provides the power to rule. So here she is holding this Chhatru, which is indicative that she is providing the power to Vasudeva. So these three siblings, Samkarshana-Balarama, the eldest, Vasudeva, and then Ekanansha. Ekanansha is sometimes considered as elder sister of Vasudeva, but in fact she was a few hours or few minutes younger than Lord Vasudeva. So here proper genealogical order is represented, and we can date it at around 3rd century BCE. This painting. There is an inscription also which says Dambuken Karikam Odan Kita. So some Dambuk possibly made this painting, or ordered someone to paint these figures. So this is the earliest representation, and besides this, I also found another representation which is slightly earlier than this one, or maybe contemporary to this one, because Erwin Neumayer dated these paintings as Chalcolithic paintings. So Chalcolithic period goes much back in antiquity, but on the latest side, we can say that it cannot go beyond 3rd century BCE, modern times. So here this painting is at a cave in area Naldaha, in Bundi district of Rajasthan. Here 5 figures are this area. This is a very unique kind of area. Rajasthan is known for its dryness, but there a rivulet is flowing and there are many of jamun trees there, and it appears totally different from other areas of Rajasthan. And there in this small cave, this cave actually formed part of the route which was going from Mathura to uh, Ujjaini or Gujarat, from this area. From Mathura to Savai Madhavpur to Bundi to Nagari or Bhilwara area, and from there to towards northern Madhya Pradesh or towards Gujarat. Both areas can be reached from there. So, at some point of time, this area was part of that trade route. So here this depiction is there, and what is important for us here, two of the figures, the one on the extreme right and one on the extreme left, they have been shown with a halo. So it is clear that these two are of divine status. These two have been provided divine status, and three figures in between have also been provided some kind of indication that these are possibly divine figures, but not as important as the other two on the extreme left and right. And the object which is held in the hand of the figure which is to the left corner, it is possibly a chakra discus, and the object towards in the right hand of the extreme right deity, it is similar to this one but a bit different. So this object is generally not found with Balram, but here the artist may have taken some kind of liberty, and these iconographies were not developed as yet. So because of that, there is certain variation of what we do find later on. So this is very important representation where all five Vrishni Viras are shown, and these five should obviously be the one which are mentioned in the Vayu Puran, and not the one which is found mentioned in Jain texts, because in Jain texts there is some relation of Arish Nath, the 22nd Tirthankar, with Samkarshana and Vasudev. They were his cousins, but nowhere do we find we have come across the representation of these Vrishni Viras as independent deities who are being worshipped. So this is only in the Brahminical context where the Vayu Puran provides us the proper identification. So these five are definitely Samkarshana-Balaram, Vasudeva Krishna, and Pradyumna, Sam, and Aniruddha. This I recently came across in an article written by M. Nambirajan sir, who is our retired Joint DG. This is from Karikayur district, Nilgiris, which lies in Tamil Nadu. Here, five warriors are shown with swords. I am not sure that we can say that these are Panch Vishnis, but there is every possibility that these can be Panch Vishnu Viras. And we do know that Vrishnis were all the Bhagavatism was quite popular in Tamil country, and there are various references which provide us information that by 4th century BCE there were linkages of northern people with the people of Tamil country and Singhal, and the beliefs and traditions were getting interchanged among the north and the south. So it is quite possible at some point of time these Vrishni figures were made there in the rock shelter. Then we come to the more popular representations, which are well known. Here we are seeing the base Nagar pillar capital. It is of around 200 BCE, and it informs that Heliodorus, the Greek ambassador, who was ambassador in the court of Antalikitas, he came to base Nagar, Vidisha, and installed this Garudhwaj capital at the shrine of Vasudev. So it is quite clear that this religious worship of Bhagavatism was quite popular in a very wide area of ancient India, and even up to the area which now forms part of Pakistan and Afghanistan. And from there, the ambassador is coming and donating Garudhwaj for a temple of Vasudev. And in the vicinity of this pillar, we have found other capitals. One is this palm capital, which belongs to Balaram. Then there was another capital which belongs to Sri Lakshmi, and there Sri Lakshmi means Rukmini, and there might have been some other capitals also which are missing at present. So possibly there was a huge temple of or religious shrine of Vrishnis at a quite far off place from Mathura. Vidisha is quite far, and there these were being worshipped in around 200 BCE. Then this is another very important finding. This is from Malhar in Bilaspur district of Chhattisgarh, and here, as we can see, that God is given some kind of tribal appearance. His lower dress is totally different from what we know of the dress of our deities. So the local sculptor is making this figure, but he is aware of the aspects of Vasudeva Krishna. He is four-handed, means he is an incarnation of Vishnu, because of which he is four-handed. He is holding a long dagger on which, this mudgar, on which an inscription is there, and then he is holding a chakra in his upper left hand, and his two hands are possibly holding this paunch, shank, Panchajanya Shank. So this is also of around 200 BCE. The script of the on this pillar is of around 200 BCE. So it also informs that by 200 BCE, this tradition of Vasudev worship was popular as far as Chhattisgarh area also, and local people were worshipping him, not only the outsiders who were coming from Mathura or the popular places. Then the other important evidence is from Ghosundi, which is the ancient Madhyamika Nagari, and it is an ASI protected site falling under Jodhpur circle at present. And here it is mentioned that Puja Shila Prakaro Narayana Vatika. So earlier, when the early studies were started of Vaishnavism, scholars tried to say that the worship of Vasudeva Krishna is very late, and this commingling of Vedic Vishnu, Upanishadic Narayan, and epic Vasudev is very late in happening, and there is no evidence of their worship in early periods. But this inscription was a slap on their face, because by 2nd century BCE, Sankarsana Vasudev's worship was well linked with the worship of Narayan. And he the scribe is writing Puja Shila Prakaro Narayan Vatika. And for whom? For Sankarshan and Vasudev. So all these aspects of Bhagavatism had already been prevalent by 2nd century BCE. So its antiquity goes much back, much earlier than the 2nd century BCE. And this is a huge complex. We are very unfortunate that because of the seize of the area by the army of Akbar for capturing Chittorgarh, all these huge stone slabs were removed from their original position. And so because of that, we do not know what type of temple was that of 2nd century BCE, but remains are there, and these are quite huge. So it must have been a very large temple, and one of the earliest temples which existed on this soil as per our information, which we have till now. There is one more Deepak there, which is a towel there, which is also not in its original context, but it must have been related to this Narayana Vatika, and there must have been a huge, possibly if that was part of this complex, that huge stone tower would have been an important light post of the temple. So it is a totally different uh, evidence which we can consider, or which we have till now from any other part of our country. And then there is this Naneghat inscription from Nasik district of Maharashtra. There it invocates Indra, Sankarshan and Vasudev. So it is of around 1st century BCE or early century CE. So in Nasik area also, the popularity of the worship of Vasudev and Krishna, Vasudev and Sankarshan has already spread by this time. Then this is the depiction of Samkarshana-Balarama and Vasudev Krishna from Chilas. The area is now at present under Pakistani occupation. Here, the two figures are made on the rock, and one is holding his mace, Mudgar, in the right hand, and in his left hand is plow, hal. The second figure is of Vasudev Krishna, and he is holding his chakra in his left hand, and in his right hand is some other object. Over their figures, Vasudev and Ram is also written. So Ahmad Hassan Dani Saab was the first to report these findings, and he dated these two around the uh, beginning of the Common Era. Then this is another very important evidence which comes from Guntur district. This is Kondamutu panel, and I think it was found somewhere around in the decade of 80s, 1980s. So here the importance lies in the fact that in the center Bhagwan Nrsimha is shown, and by the side of Nrsimha is Vasudev Krishna holding his Shankh conch, and by the side of Vasudev is Sankarshan-Balaram, who is holding this plow with a lion capital, and in his right hand is his mace. To the left side of Nrsimha are Pradyumna with a bow and arrow, with bow and an arrow. Then Sam holding a goblet of wine, and then this is Aniruddha holding a sword and dhal. In Pancharatra Sanhitas and the Satvat aspect of Bhagavatism, all these four means Chaturvyuha. Here we are getting Panch Vrishnis, but actually it talks about the worship of four Chaturvyuha, not Panch Vrishnis. But here Panch Vrishnis are merged with the concept of God Nisim, and it is of around late 4th century CE, or sorry, late 3rd century CE or early 4th century CE, around 300 ACE. So by that time, the popularity of this religious aspect of Bhagavatism was spread up to Guntur in Andhra Pradesh, in a way up to Tamil country, we can say. And the nursing is not very popular in northern India, in Mathura area, but in South India, Bhagwan nursing is very popular. And all these 5 heroes of Vrishnis are being worshipped with him. So that, and Vasudeva is not the central figure in this relief. Central figure is of Nursing Bhagwan with an erect phallus. So all the aspects of Bhagavatism and Vaishnavism were already incorporated in this panel. So he is the ultimate God. Vishnu is the ultimate God in his incarnation as Narsim. But other incarnation, Vasudev and the 4 other Vrishnis, they are also very important, and they have been provided and almost an equal space with Nursing Bhagwan here. Then now we come to the area of Mathura itself, which we call Braj region, Vraj or Braj. We believe that Lord Vasudeva incarnated at Mathura, and it is his ancestral place as mentioned in epics and as per popular belief. So there must be most of the findings of the religious worship of them from this area. We could not find any evidence of the worship of the 2 of them. Means we do find mention in the Ghosundi inscription of Samkarshana and Vasudev, but we do not have image or any tradition where these 2 are being worshipped in a group. So this is a place, Pasopa, which is in district D of Rajasthan. There is a sacred hill there, which is believed that it is Adi Badri, and Bhagwan Vasudev created all the important tirthas in Braj, and because of that, Badrinath was brought there as Adi Badri. Or even some tradition believes that it is the oldest Badrinath shrine, Adi Badri, and from there Badrinath of Himalayas came on later. Similarly, there is Kedarnath also, some 15-20 kilometers away from there. So in this village of Pasopa, which is at the outskirts of Adi Badri, there is a temple which is at present of Radha and Krishna, but slightly away from there, there is a platform, and a small temple is constructed there right now. There they say that there were Panch Veeras who died in a battle. 3 of them died in a battle, and only 2 were left. And these 2 are these 2 Veeras who are being worshipped there. Actually, these two Veeras are Vasudev and Samkarshana-Balarama, who are the most prominent of the five, and they have lost every memory of the Panch Vrishni Veeras, or all the worship of the five Vrishni wheels, and only they are aware of only two of them. So this is very important from Mathura area. Then this is about the famous site of Mora, which we all know. From Mora, the famous inscription was found, which mentions of Panch Vishninam Panch Veeranam. Koshaya Shalam Srimad Graham. So there was a temple of five Vrishnis at the place, and it is credited to have been constructed by some Tosha or Tosh. Anyways, the antiquity of the site, this site is under protection of ASI. Now it has been fenced also. It comes under Agra Circle of ASI, and there is nothing much remains there. It was excavated in around 1911-12 by Pandit Radha Krishna of the Mathura Museum, and their prime aim was to dig out the sculptures from there or find the antiques and coins, etc. Because of that, no proper documentation was done of the work. There were brick walls, brick structures there when they exposed the site, but it has not been properly recorded. And at present, I do not know whether if it is excavated, we can find a proper ancient constructions there. So slightly away from this site was found that inscription inside a well by Sir Alexander Cunningham. Site comes in between four important ancient sites of the area, which are Sakna, Fanchiri, Mora, and Tosh. Tosh is the name of an ancient village which dates back to the painted grave times. This Tosh is considered in popular memory as the friend of Krishna who taught him the art of playing flute. I do not know whether that Tosh is the same which is mentioned in this inscription, but the earlier suggestion of some scholars that Tosh is of Iranian extraction and it should be some Iranian deity is not tenable, because Tosh is word of Sanskrit. We use Santosh, Samdhantosh, and also our Lord Shiv is known as Ashutosh, Ashudhantosh. So Tosh is of Sanskrit origin. Whether this is also a fact that Indo-Iranian language is a same language group. So in Iran also these words can be found, but these are not from Iran. It is of common origin. This word Tosh is of common origin here, and it is in Brahminical context here. So at present, there is a temple of this warrior god there who is riding on a horse and holding a sword. It is very recent construction. Villagers of all of the surrounding villages come here to worship this god. Earlier, they used to worship the sculpture which was present there at the site. I will show in the next slide. So this is a pedestal of some image of Mura, which is in Mathura Museum. We have not found five intact images from there of five Vrishni Veeras. And also important factor is that during the 2nd century BCE, there was some important shrine at the site of Mura, and Shung king Brahspati Mitra. The inscription mentions the name of that king, Brahspati Mitra. I think 2 or 3 inscriptions are reported of that name from the site. So the antiquity of the site goes back to the Shung period at least. These are the 4 important findings from the site. This left one and the right one, these are on display in Mathura Museum. One of them can easily be Samkarshana-Balarama, and maybe this second one is Lord Vasudeva Krishna, but we are not sure who are they, but there is possibility that these are Samkarshana and Vasudeva. The third figure is the one which mentions the name of this Tosh, and it was thought that this is the figure of a lady. I am not sure whether it is a lady or a male, because there is no clear identification available at present, and it may be one of the figures of Panch Vrishnis. And if it is a lady, then it can be of Ekanamsa. The fourth figure, this was in worship at the site, and I don't know how this escaped the attention of the excavators there. And this is also the same tradition as the other three figures, and it belongs to the same group. Then in 1972, this pillar capital was found from Chamunda Tila, which is on the road to Brindavan from Mathura. And here we can see that there is a depiction of palm leaves on this is two-sided. So on both sides it looks like quite similar. There is depiction of palm leaves, then crocodile. This is Makar, and then there is depiction of this yaksha aspect also. And we all know that most of the iconographies of deities of the earliest times, they had some linkage with the iconography of yakshas. So there is quite possible. This is quite possible that this capital is part of a shrine of Vrishnis, where crocodile is related, Makar is related to Pradyumna, and the palm is related to Balram, and Yaksh can be related to any aspect of the god, or maybe Vasudeva himself. And it belongs to around the beginning of Common Era. Then we have these three other sculptures. This is from Birabai in district Bharatpur. It is very near to the excavated site of Noho. And this village is named as Birabai, Birbai. So this tradition that this is a hero is already there. This is also of early century of Common Era, and in all probability, it is one of the Vrishni Viras. The second figure is I had explored it in a village Sundrak, which is on the outskirts of the Brindavan, and where about 2 kilometers distant from Banke Bihari temple. There it was under worship as a goddess in the village, and I reported it in my research work. And here he holds a sword tied to his waist, and this is of Kushan period definitely. And the overall treatment overall treatment of it resembles Mora sculptures. So I had proposed that this is one of the Vrishni Viras. Unfortunately, the figure is not there. It has been stolen by these smugglers from there. Then this third one is of a goddess who is at present housed in Government Museum Mathura, and this was found from Akrur Tila. Akrur Tila is the place where we do consider that when Akrur was bringing Vasudeva Krishna and Samkarshana-Balarama from Gokul or maybe Nandgaon to Mathura in the court of Kans, he was in dilemma whether I should take them along with me, these two small kids, to the court of Kans. There, Vasudeva Krishna and Lord and Samkarshana-Balarama, they gave Akrur darshan of their Chaturbhuj form. And at this Akrur Ghat, the hamlet which is known by the name of Akrur, and the deity was found from that place only. So it is very much possible that this this deity who is standing with an Abhay pose is goddess Ekanamsa, the Yog Maya, or the Meenakshi of Madurai, the same goddess. At Vrindavan, there is a temple of Madan Mohanji in the backside of famous Banke Bihari temple. And at this Madan Mohan temple also, there are bricks of the modern period and subsequent periods, which some few of which are inscribed. And the inscription mentions that Thain Natkain Thain Bhagavaten Natkain Karitam. So it relates to Bhagavad Bhakti, and the temple has a continuing tradition till the medieval period, when it was again constructed as a huge temple of Madan Mohanji. But the antiquity of the site goes to the modern period, and the inscription mentions that it was devoted to Bhagavad, Bhagavad sect. So at Vrindavan, we have that temple and this image from Sundak, which is very near to Vrindavan. Two important findings, and this Devi figure is also from Vrindavan, Akrur Tila, on the banks of Yamuna. So these are very important findings which confirms the popularity of these gods and goddesses in the area of Mathura. Then this is the most important art piece of I think Brahminical faith. This was found in 3 pieces inside the well in the museum compound. The well is called Sapt Samudri Koop, which is believed to contain the water of 7 oceans, and it is a tradition to offer worship there at the well when one proceeds for a foreign trip, means crossing the ocean. Earlier it was identified as Indra, but Nilkant Purushottam Joshi ji for the first time properly identified it as Chaturvyuha Murti. Here the central figure is of Vasudev, who is holding a Shankh and his right hand is in Abhay Mudra, and from him are emanating on the from one shoulder Samkarshana-Balarama is emanating with a goblet in his hand, and his mudgar is visible at the lower end, and from the back side of his shoulder the other figure is coming out, who must be Pradyumna or Aniruddha, and from his left shoulder also some figure was coming out, but it is missing. So in Pancharatra theology, it is believed that Lord God Narayan is in deep slumber, so he does not partake in worldly happenings. So from him emanates Lord Vasudev, and Lord Vasudev is the creative energy from whom this whole this entire universe is coming into form, and from Vasudev comes 3 other emanations who are representative of Bal and Aishwarya, and 4 other characteristics of Shad Guna. So this sculpture is of about 3rd century CE. So it informs us that by 3rd century CE, all the theological aspects, all the subtle aspects of the Pancharatra theology and Bhagavatism were already developed. And this is the only piece which is like this. No other piece has been found in this entire country of this nature. So at the back end of this sculpture, there is representation of a tree. So one tree is there, and from that is of Vasudev, that is of Narayan, and from that tree representing Narayan, Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. These are coming. Sam would not be there because in Chaturvyuha images, Ayurvedic Samhita does not mention Sam. Sam was made an outclass by that time, and only those who were representative of positive aspects, they were only worshipped. Sam was of Tamasic Pravritti, as he used to have this wine flask in his hand. And there is also some other issue of the curse which he had got from Bhagavan Krishna. Then we come to the worship of the Vrishnis as triads. The first example is of that rock painting. But in sculptural art, there are many representations of this cult, and the most important is the one which is at present in worship in Jagannath Puri temple, where Vasudev, Balaram, and Subhadra, all three are worshipped together. In Mathura, unfortunately, there is no place where these three are worshipped in a temple. But there are many representations of them which confirm that they were very, very popular in Mathura and in the surrounding areas. And here, this aspect is also very important, that in one of the triads, Vasudev is shown with four hands. So it means they are worshipping them as family deities, but they know that Vasudev Krishna is the incarnation of Bhagavan Vishnu. Because of that, he is having four hands, and his discus is there, his mace is there, and his shankh is there. So all those aspects has already been combined at Mathura by the early century CE, and from there this tradition of worship went to other places, as far as this place in Egypt, which was recently reported by Shalin Bhandare in an online presentation. This is Berenike in Egypt, and this panel belongs to somewhere around the second century CE, and it informs that the tradition of worship of these three was popular till that as far as Egypt. It is also possible that it went through some trade links, but popularity is there. So it is very, very important evidence. And this one is from Eta. This is from Aliganj in Eta. And similarly, panel was found from Naval, which is of post-Gupta period. Naval one, this one, and there is one panel from near the area of Gaya, where three independent statues of the three gods and this goddess have been found. So the worship of triads was very popular in a very large area, and one was found from this Sangel in Mewat area of Haryana, now housed at Kurukshetra Museum, published by David Handa sir. So the popularity of the worship of these three together was very popular, and it continued up to the post-Gupta period, but somehow later examples do not survive. Then the independent representations of Vasudeva there at Mathura, in which he is shown as four-handed, as two-handed, having all the attributes of Bhagavan Vishnu. Then he is shown as as an attendant figure of Neminath, the 22nd Tirthankar, who was born at Sauripur, possibly at Mathura, at present identified with Bateshwar. He was elder cousin of Balaram and Vasudeva Krishna, and here the aspects which we do provide them in the Brahminical ideology means Balaram is an incarnation of Sheshnath. So he is shown as having the Sarp fund, and Krishna is also having all those attributes. So the idol is being prepared in a Jain context. Neminath is being shown as the prime deity, but still the two of the cousins, Balaram and Vasudeva, shown with those attributes which have nothing to do with the Jain tradition. So still they are being shown. So it means that it was very popular by that time, and the sculptor who made the Jain idols had to give them those attributes which were well known by that time. Then we do have independent representations of Samkarshana-Balarama from 2nd century BCE. The earliest one is from Jansuti. I am sorry that I have not used that figure here. So there also he is having these sarp fanas and the body, snake body at the back, and his usual attributes of having a hull or musal, these are there. And then this is from Tumen, ancient Tumen city, and now sorry, it is I think it is from, yeah, it is from Tumen, and it is housed at, I think, Gwalior Museum at present. This is of somewhere around 1st century BCE or the early century CE, and here we can see that he is holding this long mudgar and this hull, and is having sarp fund all over his head. Many of the idols, many of the sculptures of Balaram are known from the Mathura area as well as from Vidisha and Gwalior area. And similarly, there are a number of representations of Vasudeva Krishna of the same period of of around 1st century CE from the Mathura area, and these are either two-handed or four-handed. And at the same time, within a century or two, we do find representations of other aspects of Bhagavan Vishnu as avatars. So whether it is Trivikram with 8 or 10 hands, whether it is his Varaha avatar, whether it is his Nrsimha avatar, all these are being represented at Mathura within tenure of about 200 or 200, 300 years. So all the aspects of the Vaishnavism were already popular by then, and from there, from Mathura area, maybe antiquity of few of them is known as earlier than Mathura at some of the places, but most of the sculptures were made at Mathura itself, and by the Gupta period, the popularity of these all the aspects of Vaishnavism were quite popular in a very vast area of our country. Then we do have also numismatic evidences of the Vrishnis, and here this is a figure on a Panchmark coin, which is dated to pre-modern period, around 400 to 450 BCE, where he is holding plowshare. And this is from P.L. Gupta ji. who published this figure from as a symbol of Mathura, Samkarshana-Balarama with Mudgar and Hal. And then this is a tree which possibly represents Mathura. It may be of any aspect, maybe it may be related to Vrishnis, but I am not sure about that. Then here on one Panchmark coin, we do have the representation of the triad of three deities, as have been earlier described. Then this is the famous coin of Agathocles, and here Balaram is shown with a hull and a mudgar, and then Vasudeva Krishna is shown with a chakra and a conch, and these are of around 185 to 190 BCE. So this also informs us that the popularity of the tradition was there in the northwest of India by that time, and it was very popular. And this is the coin of Shiv Rakshit, found from Takshila. Recently, I was going through a book by K.K. Tapalial sir on seals and ceilings. There I noted that this figure is holding a plowshare and a dagger, and because the name of the king has been mentioned as Shiv Rakshit, the earlier scholars considered it as a representation of Bhagwan Shiv, but he is in fact Samkarshana-Balarama, not Bhagwan Shiv. And this same aspect was brought to my notice also by Shiv Pratap Singh ji, who is a very learned scholar somewhere in Rajasthan. So there is many evidence of Vrishnis on coins, and in later period, means during the Kushan and the onwards period, we do have so many representation of Vaishnav deities on the coins. Then we come to South India. In South India, there are three temples. Thiruvallikeni Triplicane Shrine in Chennai, then Nachiyar Koil near Kumbakonam, and then Tiruptangal in Ramanathapuram district, where Vrishni gods are being worshipped alongside the principal deity. In the Parthasarathi temple of the Triplicane Shrine, he is Vasudeva Krishna, and beside him, these five are being worshipped. One of them is Rukmini, his wife, and then the three others are Pradyumna, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Satiki. Sam is not there. Then at Nachiyar Koil, Sam is there, and three other Vrishni gods are also there. And at Tiruptangal, there are about 7 deities in worship together, and about 2 or 3 means Pradyumna and Aniruddha are there along with Vasudeva. And the wife of Bhagwan is Jamvati there. So the idols which are in worship, we cannot take photographs of them. They are always under clothes. So there are ritual restrictions there. Because of that, we cannot study them. We cannot have their pictures. But in my opinion, the sculptures date back to the time of around 8th century CE, late Pallav or early Chol times, and the tradition of their worship might be much earlier, when all these migrations were happening of the traders, and there were important ports at Madurai or the Tamraparni in Sri Lanka, or at Kerala coast, whether these linkages were through trade inland route or through sea route. For sea route, we do have clear evidence, but there is also every possibility that inland routes were also being used. In future, we may get many more evidence, just like the Kondamotu panel, which came out suddenly and challenged many of the established beliefs about the Pancharatra cult and their antiquity and its antiquity. So uh, uh, this is about the popularity of the Sri tradition in South India, in Tamil country, and in Andhra country. In Kerala also, we do know that Nambutiri Park Brahmins, they moved through Bharukaksh, possibly started from Mathura. So there also in Kerala, Chair country also, we do have popularity of the tradition of Vrishnis, and then later on of Vasudeva Krishna. This is a recent find which we have found in our excavations at Behaj, which is very near to Govardhan. And it is from painted period. I think it is of around 600 BCE at the latest. And here the two deities are there riding on the elephant, and one deity is standing here below the central elephant, and one is standing at the corner, partially visible. And the pose of these deities is very much similar to the one which we found on the earliest Panchmark coins. So possibly there is some kind of continuity of the tradition from the painted giver period to the modern period or pre-modern period. We have to work on it further to confirm any other aspect of it. Thank you, your patient hearing. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gupta, for that fairly comprehensive, what I can term only comprehensive lecture on the evolution of the Vrishni iconography. We do have a few questions which have come up from our viewers. We are at 6:52 now, so unfortunately we don't have too much time, but we can definitely take a couple of questions.
Yeah.
So the first of which is, sir, I think the number of illustrations which you kind of brought to build your case on the Vrishni iconography was fairly comprehensive, like I said. One starting question really on the initial cave art which you showed, right, which seemed somewhat rudimentary. How do we reconcile the cave art from that period and that antiquity with something like the Vidisha pillar, which is far more elaborate with the palm capital which you showed us, given that they're not too different from each other in terms of antiquity? And I think you kind of referred to the antiquity of both these exhibits, and it comes from, let's say, the 2nd or the 3rd century BC is what you told us. So I was wondering about the rather uneven kind of, what shall I say, art styles which we are seeing, in which these Vrishni icons are shown.
I think that iconographical attributes were not well established by then. It was in initial stage, and this was being developed at different places at that time. Because of that time, we do not have any evidence from Mathura itself, from where the cult, this whole tradition is getting originated. So there must have been, but in what form we do not know. So when the first tangible representations were being made, either in sculpture or in rock art, they had no set formula for that, and because of that, we do have some of the features or attributes which relate to them, and there are some which do not relate to them. And because of that, there are certain characteristics because of which we are saying that these are Vrishnis. Otherwise, it is very difficult to say that these are actually Vrishnis. But Chakra is there, and in Tigla there is an inscription which confirms the antiquity of the paintings. And in the case of this Nalda in Bundi district, the entire painted shelter has been dated to around Chalcolithic period by Erwin Neumayer, is irrespective of the fact that whether this figure is of any importance or not, because simple hunting scene and like that, all these have been described. So the issue comes when we say that this is a representation of this scene. Then the scholars start to question, oh, how can this be when the period has been dated as Chalcolithic, and we are finding Vrishnis in that. So this comes then.
Yes, sir. In fact, one of our viewers, Kishore, actually had a related question, which was on the Karikayur art from the Nilgiris, where we have this set of 5 figures which are represented in rock art, whom you said were interpreted to be the Vrishnis itself, the 5 Veeras or the Vrishni Veeras. So
maybe.
Yeah,
I am not sure about that. I am just giving a possibility that it may be.
Yeah.
Because
Go ahead, sir.
Because there is not, we do not come across any other depiction of 5 figures together except for the Panch Vrishnis or Panch Vrishni Veera. So because of that, there is every possibility that it belongs to the Vrishnis.
So another follow-up question on our discussion, sir, is also moving past the rock art at least and looking at the sculptures and some of the sculptural evidence we have. Do we have any information on who the patrons of this Bhagavata art were? Right, at least all the illustrations you showed us. Do we have some insight on who these patrons were? The patrons of this.
In many cases, these were the people of the royal families. Like for Heliodorus pillar inscription, we do know that it was gifted by Heliodorus himself, who was a Greek ambassador in the court of Antalikitas and who had come to the court of Kashi Naresh Bhagbhadra. So royal personages are attached with that. And for this Ghosundi Madhyamika Nagari, we do come that this was during the reign of King Sarvtat. So possibly most of them were being gifted by the ruling class. But but this rock art and the finding from Malhar and those sculptures which are not having well-established iconography, these may be the works of the trading community who were passing by that area, and or by the locals who incorporated the tradition through the traders, and then they themselves try to make these sculptures.
So one last question on this topic, sir. Given the kind of 3rd century BC era which you spoke of, when many of the early examples of what you showed us are coming from, do we know of any influences exerted by Mauryan art and Mauryan sculpture on the Bhagavata cult of worship? I mean, do we see any cross influences?
No. You see, when we talk of Mauryan art, this is a dynastic terminology which we are using, and generally we say that the Mauryan art is divided into 2. One is the court art, and the second is local art. Here in this case, we are getting as rock art or as those examples which are not existing in the sculptural form, art form, but for which we are getting inscriptional evidence. So we do not have any such any such images to compare with the established art of the modern period, whether it is a court art or the local art. But there is every possibility that the local art which we do get as in the form of terracottas or in the form of yaksha iconography, if the sculptures would have survived of that period, these must have had the features of the yaksha iconography of Mathura or the contemporary other places.
All right. Good, sir. Thank you. So we seem to be running out of time, but I have one last question from one of our viewers, Ramamurthy Shankar, which I would like to ask. So he's asking, is Bhagavatism different from Vaishnavism? I know you touched on that. So if I can just kind of flesh that question out a little more, it would be useful, sir, if you could throw some light on this entire process of assimilation of the Bhagavata cult into the larger Vaishnava cult. So if you can lay it out for us in a time frame, I mean, you did say that there are obvious linkages between the two, but when does this what shall I say, unique form of Bhagavata iconography get assimilated into the larger Vaishnava tradition? Can you kind of lay it out for us on a timeline for our understanding?
As far as my information is concerned, as I spoke earlier, that I think by the time of 2nd century BCE to 2nd century CE, we have already this merger of the other aspects of Vaishnavism and the Bhagavad tradition. And in Vaishnavism, we do have all the incarnations. Almost equal importance is given to most of the aspects, most of the incarnations. But in Bhagavatism, we do have some historical information about the development of this Vrishni cult, because of which earlier scholars tried to separate Bhagavatism as differently from that of Vaishnavism. But now, as we are seeing and we are finding the examples, I believe that there is not much difference. But yeah, Vaishnavism is much larger belief system of us, and Bhagavatism is the most important part of that belief system, of that religious belief system.
I think what was also fascinating for us to see as viewers were the regional variations which you were able to kind of bring out in some of these examples from across the country. So the Guntur example, the Kondamuttu Guntur example, which had the Narasimha icon in the middle, I think that was quite fascinating to see. And I think what you're also trying to explain to us is the strong kind of regional variations which existed within this larger form of worship of the Vrishni icons. So I think that was quite interesting for us to observe as well.
I would like to say that there is problem with us because we try to believe that whatever is being found on the earth, only that is the actual history or the actual happening which happened in ancient past. This is our limited knowledge. This is not the problem of the people of those eras who lived and worshipped these gods. It is our problem that we are not finding those evidence. And if this Kondamotu panel would have not been found, no one would have believed that there is so early antiquity of the Pancharatra cult, and all these aspects were already merged, and these are later on reflected in the temple architecture of various South Indian temples, where Lord Nrsimha is the prime principal deity, and other Vrishnis or Vasudev and Lord Ram or other incarnations are also given some importance. So in future, maybe some other such panels come up and everything is changed forever.
Yes, I think that's a useful caution for us to keep at the back of our heads. Dr. Gupta, there's one last question from a viewer, Prashant, a rather specific question which deals with one of the illustrations which you showed us of the Vrishnis again in the Kondamuttu Guntur panel. And Prashant asks if you can please explain about the Ayudas found in the hands of each of the Vrishnis in the Kondamuttu panel. So maybe if you can also just show us that specific slide, and if you could talk us through the Ayudas, I think we will end the evening's talk with that.
First one is Samkarshana-Balarama. He is holding his.
So would you be able to share that share your screen on that slide if you don't mind, so that our viewers can see the illustration?
Okay, then will I have to repeat the whole process again?
No. I mean, if you can just share the slide and talk us through that particular thing, just the Vrishni.
No, how can I share only this slide?
No, I mean, share your screen and then move to that
slide.
Okay,
there, from there. Okay.
Can just show us the slide on the.
I am not able to enlarge our video call.
All right. So why don't you just talk about that particular slide then? I mean,
that is very popular. Anyone can see on internet also. The first one is Samkarshana-Balarama. He is holding this mudgar in his right hand, and in his left hand is the plowshare with this lion capital made on it. Then there is Vasudeva Krishna, who is holding his this Panchajan Shankh in his natural left hand. His right hand is in Abhay Mudra, and in his there are only two hands of Vasudev. Then Nrsimha is holding the this Sudarshan Chakra of Bhagavan Vishnu, and in his right hand is the sword. And then there is this Pradyumna icon, who is holding the bow in his left hand and the arrow in his right hand. Then there is Samb, who is holding this wine goblet in his right hand, and left hand is held akimbo. Then there is this Aniruddha icon, who is holding this dhal, or what we call sword, and in the right hand he is holding this sword, and in his left hand he is holding this. In Hindi we call dhal. In English what we call this to
shield,
protect.
sir?
Oh, shield. Sorry, shield. So he is holding shield and sword.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Gupta, for the detailed explanation. I'm afraid we now have to end today's session. So thank you very much for your time and your scholarship. I think it was a new topic which we have touched on this evening, and I think all of us learned quite a bit. Thank you very much, and we look forward to having you speak again at Tamil Heritage Trust in the future. And to all our audience, thank you for joining us this evening. And we'll see you at next month's monthly Heritage Talk in May. Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you. Namaste.